I think certainly when it comes to running a design business, some of us don't even realize that we think we're treating it like a business, but we're not. We're treating it like a hobby. If I continue to treat it like a hobby, though I want to grow it, if I don't actually make space to grow it, it will not grow.
All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business. Hey, it's Rebecca, and you are listening to Resilient by Design. Today's episode is a rebroadcast. It's a reshare of an incredible episode that we recorded a little while back, all about the type of business owner you are. And if you didn't listen to the original, you're definitely going to want to listen to it today. And even if you did listen to the original, this is going to be a good recap. There are two types of designers in this world. There's the one you want to be and the one you don't. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about what it means to be a business owner and what it means to be, a hobbyist. You can be either one. Literally, there is no judgment. But I think this is a question that every entrepreneur needs to ask themselves, because I think oftentimes when we start out, we're treating our business like a hobby without even realizing it, when truthfully, we really want to treat it like a business and grow and make some freaking money. So I hope you guys enjoyed the rebroadcast of this episode, The Hobbyist and the Business Owner. Enjoy. All right. So recently, I've been thinking a lot about this idea of a hobby or a side hustle and, how do you turn that into a business? And for a lot of us, when we start out kind of on the sidelines, and it's maybe not a full-fledged business. For me, when I started my interior design business, it wasn't really a hobby because I needed to earn a living. And I had already been in the industry. So I took a big risk going out on my own after having worked for someone else for many years. So I sort of was forced and thrown right into it. But then there's those of us who do it on the side. We do it evenings and weekends, or we have another business happening. And so sometimes it takes a little longer to get things going. And I've especially been thinking about that lately as it pertains to my coaching business, because, I love, oh my God. I love doing this podcast. I love coaching designers. I love our community. I love my courses that I've been doing, especially Power of Process. I just want to keep making it better, offer more value, and grow that business. But this is the challenge, is that I already have a business, a pretty good one at that, a great design business that I love. And it takes a lot of my attention. And so it's really got me to think about how I treat the coaching business. And as much as I keep saying I want to grow it, the reality is it's not going to grow unless I truly treat it as a business and I put my energy and effort into it, which might mean something has to give on the interior design side. Now, I'm still working through that and what that looks like for me. And certainly the last couple of years have given me a bit of perspective on life and where I see myself in 10 years has changed. I don't know if anyone else has gone through that, as we've come through the pandemic, but it's interesting because, and I talk about this when I do my visualization exercise with my students, and we always, we talk about visualizing your future and how it's important to do it on an annual basis, if not more, because what we think we want changes. Like, just think about it. When you were a kid and you were in school, if someone asked you what you wanted to be when you grew up, chances are it was something else. And
maybe it wasn't, and like you've just always known your path. That was not me. I'm taking a sip of my drink. So, anyhow, fast forward to now, I've kind of been trying to juggle these two businesses, and it's really become too difficult to do both things really well. And so I find myself at a crossroads. I'm just like realizing this is not really what the episode was meant to be about. Well, here you go. It's an inside scoop to my brain. Oh my goodness. Sometimes I think I forget that I'm just like sitting in my son's bedroom, talking to a microphone, staring at the wall. Feels like I'm talking to myself, but actually millions of people potentially could hear this. Okay, maybe not millions yet, but there's people out there listening. But anyways, so the reality is, if I continue to treat it like a hobby, though I want to grow it, if I don't actually make space to grow it, it will not grow. And so today I just want to talk about how there are two types of designers in this world, or there are two types of people, regardless of what the industry is. But because I know I'm speaking to designers, I want to talk about this because I think certainly when it comes to running a design business, some of us don't even realize that we think we're treating it like a business, but we're not. We're treating it like a hobby. And so I think there are two types of designers in this world. The one that you might want to be, and the one that you might not. And today I want to talk a little bit about this. So there's the side hobby, right? There is the hobby that may or may not turn into a business. And what I can tell you is, I'm going to tell you sort of the differences and then give you some examples of how you can transition from one to the other. So the hobbyist. A hobbyist designer is someone whose business often gets started as a side project or a side hustle. So it could be that a friend asks you to help them decorate their living room, or on the weekends you start shopping for somebody else, or you decide, I might just do some consultations, or you start charging a little bit for your service, but you still have another gig. Maybe eventually you don't have another gig, but you are still treating the design business like a hobby. How do you know if you're treating your design business like a hobby, or your business, any business really? Well, there's no real strategy in place, right? Things tend to take off in the beginning, but then after a while, their business struggles and it could sputter to a halt potentially, or just feel a little bit sidelined or off track. Oftentimes, when you treat your business like a hobby, you feel overworked and underpaid. Who has been there? You don't usually know where you need to go next because, let's circle back, there's no real strategy in place. And most often, these businesses don't make it, or they just kind of stay there being the status quo. I would say more often than not, designers get frustrated because they aren't getting the traction they want. And so they tend to move on to other endeavors. And that's okay if the other endeavor is really what you want to do and your passion. But imagine if you really wanted it to be a business and you didn't realize you're treating it like a hobby. A hobbyist designer will undercharge for their services, likely, help people for free still, likely, not set goals for the year, right? And probably, if I'm being totally honest, won't likely pay themselves much, but will do their best to give their clients the best deal possible. Because let's face it, we are all people pleasers. And so we really just want to make people happy half the time or more than half the time. So when you are running and treating your business like a hobby, it's really hard to grow it to a place where you can step away and feel a little bit of freedom. So let's contrast this with the business owner. So a business owner, or someone who treats their design business like a business, or their side hustle or their hobby like a business, is someone who takes their business seriously. Their design business has probably a very different growth curve. So if you were looking at a graph, you would see that, if you're running a design business, you're going to get some little spurts of growth, and then a constant, steady incline of growth. Whereas the hobbyist will tend to kind of even out. So what? Who cares? Maybe you don't want to grow. Here's the thing. A design business owner, someone who thinks like a business owner, usually has a strategy in place to help get their clients results. They usually have a strategy in place for marketing. They usually have a strategy in place for keeping their clients happy, referring them. They usually have a strategy in place for growth of their team. Typically, a business owner is committed to growing their design business. That is their goal, and they set out to do it on an annual basis because it's a business and it's not a side hustle. So as a result, their sales tend to increase year after year. And every single year, the business owner typically experiences growth. Of course, there are certain exceptions to this. There could be a recession, there could be a pandemic, there could be life situations, but in general, that's the trajectory of a business. And that is what I have been so committed to inside the Power of Process, as well as in our designer meetups, in my coaching calls, because I have really enjoyed running my design business like a business. At some point, there was a turning point for me when I realized, I need to treat this like a business. It's not just about me being a creative anymore. And I think that was the shift. And I don't know exactly when it happened, but that was when I started to read business books, take business courses, listen to business podcasts. And if you're here right now listening to this, and maybe you've already made this shift, and maybe you've already made this transition, or you're really ready to do it. The other big difference between the hobbyist and the business owner is that, like in the design industry, is that typically there's a deeper level of commitment long-term. Right? You're committed to being a business owner. And so much of the success that you will experience will come down to you making certain decisions inside your business. And whether or not you are able to dive in and treat it like a business full time right now, and regardless of the level of commitment, the time commitment you have, what matters is that level of commitment that you are putting in to make it work, which might mean doing things that are a little bit outside the box and moving through some uncomfortable feelings of sales or strategy or planning or taking a step away to work on your business, right? I would say the biggest tip to moving from hobbyist to business owner is that you need to get out of your head and into the world. And what I mean by that is you need to really you don't need to tell everybody, but I think you need to make a commitment to yourself that you are going to take your business seriously. And how can you do this? I mean, how can you really start doing it? Well, obviously, like I said, you can listen to podcasts like this, you can read books, but also you could surround yourself with others who are in a similar situation, right? You want to be surrounded by a community of like-minded design professionals who are also looking to improve their marketing technique, their growth strategy, their financial knowledge, whatever it might be that will help you get to having a better pulse or finger on the pulse of your business. Surround yourself with those people. Also, you need to charge properly for your services. No free tickets, right? Charge for your consultations. Don't share your discounts. These are the things that real design business owners do. The real design business owners, and I'm hesitant to say this, I don't want anyone to feel like I'm passing judgment on them for not doing these things. But I really do believe that if you take it seriously and you charge what you're worth, and you don't share your discounts, people will respect that and see you as a business. Sure, there are businesses out there and they share their discounts. And if you want to do that, that is your prerogative. This is coming from my experience. Because I think that there's an important mental shift that happens. And so for me, the way I'm really like, this has just been so much on my mind, which is why I wanted to talk about it. At first I thought like, you know what? This is obviously like, do I even need to have this conversation? Because designers listening to this podcast are obviously intent on growing their business. But then I realized there's like a possibility that people want it. They just haven't taken that leap. They need that extra push. And maybe you don't realize that you're treating your business like a hobby until I make that distinction for you. So I'm just trying to help. But I think for me right now, because I have two businesses, essentially, or I'm trying to have two businesses, I've realized that I've been treating the coaching as more of a side hustle and a hobby because I love it so much. But as a result, I haven't taken that time to like sit down and come up with a bigger picture strategy. I said to Vera the other day, I was like, before we just start doing another course or like making something that people are asking for so that we can give back, because literally that's all I want to do is like, I feel so good when I get to help you guys. But hey, what if I came up with a really great longer term plan and we actually strategized it, and maybe we can turn this into a real business where I can spend the time I want doing this thing that I love. And then maybe I don't have to be as involved in my design business anymore because my interests have shifted. But if I don't make that decision and make that leap into treating my coaching like a business, then it will stay a side hustle and it won't grow. So I don't know who needs to hear this. This is my ramblings on a Friday afternoon before a weekend, which I definitely need because I feel like I've been in my head so much as of late. I could really use a little break. But I feel like somebody needs to maybe hear this. Like, this is what I'm going through when it comes to what's happening in my life, but it's directly applicable to those of you who feel that they've been playing small. They know they're ready to play bigger. Take that leap. Step into that person that you know you want and can be, because there is such a beautiful world available to you when you truly treat this hobby, this thing, this small business you've been doing, treat it seriously like a business. And business owners act differently than creative entrepreneurs. There is a distinction. Grab the tools that are out there. Obviously, you have me and this podcast as a resource. I felt like I needed to hear this information. And so usually if I need to hear it, somebody else needs to hear it too. All right, that's it. That's today's podcast, a shorty but goodie. Let me know what you thought of my podcast. If you liked this one and you feel like you have a friend that needs a little kick in the butt, send it to them and share on social media. And I don't know, treat your business like a business if that's what you want to do. Take it seriously, step up to the plate, and make moves. All right. Have a great day. See you soon.